Hello, everybody. Welcome to All Villa, No Filler. Please remember to like and subscribe to the show. Subscribe if you are on an absolute high from witnessing the mighty Aston Villa go through to the semi-final of a top European competition. When Aston Villa were floundering around in the year 2011, losing 3-0 to Wigan Athletic at home, having just lost 8-0 against Chelsea and 4-0 against Tottenham. Was there anywhere in your mind that you imagined that Villa might actually get back to the very top in Europe? If you thought that at that time, well, then good for you. But you must have thought it looks a long, long way from here right now. And we have endured years and years of misery and hardship. We've walked through the desert and we've found finally the oasis. And there, sitting by the oasis, is the mighty, the great Professor Unai Emery, the man who has led us from wandering this inhospitable world where all we ever see is Villa losing, Villa's losing mentality, a mentality in which you just don't believe the Villa will get over the line. Instead, now we look like a club that it doesn't matter if we lose 4-0 to Spurs, something goes wrong one day, because we'll just bounce back the next game. It doesn't matter if we lose 5-1 to Newcastle at the start of the season, because we'll bounce back next week and beat Everton 4-0. The resilience of this team, we witnessed it again last night in Lille. I've said it before. I went to see Villa lose 2-0 to Lille in the year 2002, I think it was. And I think it was in the Intertoto Cup. Um, and it was a game in which Villa, whilst we played all right, competed with them, we lost. And the Villa of old, how often do we say it? The Villa of old, they would have caved in, they would have lost, they wouldn't be in this tournament anymore, they wouldn't be competing in the top four, they wouldn't have gone to Arsenal and beaten them 2-0 just this week. Instead, Villa in the last week beat Lille 2-1 at home, a top quality team in Lille. They were really good, really good. Follow that up 3 days later by going to one of the hardest away days you're going to get this decade, going to a really informed Arsenal side, and we go and beat them 2-0. A masterclass. And then last night we go there and we didn't play well. It was hard work. I think Lille just looked like the more energetic team, which is unsurprising given that basically it seems like the French league has given them the time off to recuperate and not have to play league games. And therefore, they were always just going to have a bit more energy than Villa were. Um, and instead, Villa was, yes, I think that they were the better side. I think tactically, I wouldn't say they outdid us. I've seen this going around in sort of French media that they tactically outdid Villa. I'm not sure they did. I just don't think Villa quite had the energy or were quite at it going forward to cause Lille the sort of problems that we should have caused them. I think they looked very dynamic. They certainly had a lot of width, and I thought in the first game as well that they demonstrated that. I thought as soon as we drew them, I thought we might be drawing the best team in the tournament here, and I think they probably were. I think it's between Villa, Lille, and potentially Fiorentina is the three you would say probably are the three top teams on paper. But that doesn't mean anything, because on the night, sometimes in Europe, a team like Olympiacos can get the job done, and maybe Club Brugge can do it to Fiorentina as well. So look, um, I think that last night was a demonstration of we played a team that are a Champions League team. It was a demonstration of the fact that they had just a little bit more fitness than we did. The fact that we were able to get through extra time and dominate the first half of that and should have scored through Douglas Luiz with a fantastic save from their keeper, Chevalier. Um, the resilience of this team to just keep going, not get too tired out, no excuses culture. We're living through a golden era under Unai Emery, and long may it last. Long may it set the standard of what Aston Villa should expect to be in future, not just this is a blip in time. And we look back on the O'Neill era and think it wasn't going well under O'Leary. O'Neill made things a bit better, and then it all went downhill from there. Instead, we have to believe, and I think that the ownership structure is there now. I think the owners are in this for the long haul. I think that the commercial side, the structure is in place there. And on the footballing side, the structure is in place there with the academy, the coaching, the manager, everything. On both sides, there is some kind of synergy. My God, I sound like a LinkedIn dickhead there, don't I? Some kind of synergy going on that makes me believe that this will not just cave in one day. This is not just a one-off era. This is something that can continue in the long haul, and it won't all be plain sailing. It won't all be uphill. There will be moments where it goes down, but overall, the general trend is up. And last night was another moment in that, and it shows you that with the Conference League, there's probably a lot of people who look down on it a little bit. I don't at all. I think it's a brilliant competition. I think it's been a fantastic institution from uh, uh, from UEFA to bring it in, and I think that it gives clubs, that otherwise might find it more difficult to get into Europe, find it more difficult to compete and win trophies, a chance of doing that. And Aston Villa are including that right now. I do honestly believe that we are a team that can go on to compete in the Champions League if that happens. I do honestly believe we're a team that can win something like the Europa League, which would just be magical. But to be in Europe and to get to a semi-final, what this is doing for us is setting up the standard of, competition. It's getting us the experience in what could be to come in the near future. Next season we go into the Europa League or the Champions League. Let's face it, with where we are in the league, that's probably where we're going to end up, one of the two. And what this experience of this season has done is it's told us we can win in Europe. We know how to win in Europe. We know how to get through tough away days with loud crowds, loud audiences, and find a way of winning. And that's what we've done. So this is setting us up really well for the future, with whatever happens next against Olympiacos and potentially even a final as well. So yeah, what an incredible experience to see Villa in the semi-final in Europe. My goodness, it's magical. Cojones FC, I said last night. I won't keep saying that, but I'm going to keep that. That is the name I'm giving this team for what they did last night. Matty Cash turning up when you needed him, and a word for Leon Bailey as well. I know he missed the penalty in the shootout, but look, I think he's our X factor. I know Ollie Watkins gets the goals and the assists, but Leon Bailey, I think, is the most electrifying player in sports and entertainment today. Sorry, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. You're going to have to give that mantle up to Leon Bailey. When he came on the pitch last night with his injury, I think, again, he turned the game for us. And you see the videos going around today on Twitter of Leon Bailey saying, we've got time, focus. That's a winning mentality. These players, we didn't play well, but they figured out a way of getting through it. It reminded me of a Manchester United era, Alex Ferguson, a team that didn't always play brilliantly, but just found a way of getting a result. And sometimes they do it in the last 5 minutes. That's why we all hated them for years. And if Aston Villa can become that team, the way we were in the penalty shootout, the mentality of someone like Ollie Watkins having to wait 2 minutes for a bloody penalty to take, the winning mentality of Emi Martinez, it's magical to see Villa be that team. And tough day, tough few games ahead with Olympiacos for sure. They beat West Ham earlier this season in the Europa League. They're a very, very good side, and it's going to be harder again on paper than we probably think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a difficult game, but home leg first. If we can get a big result at home, hopefully that sets us up well for whatever is to come in a very, very tough atmosphere in Greece, where no doubt Olympiacos will be dreaming of a final in Athens. Now, look, next up, we know it never stops, does it? The Champions League chase continues. Bournemouth next. I love Bournemouth. I think they're one of my favourite teams in the Premier League, and I think Iraola, their coach, Bournemouth were very patient with him at the start of the season. They didn't start well at all. It took them a long while to get going, but eventually all his methods, they started to click in sort of late October, and they went on a fantastic run. And to be honest, they've been on a great run ever since, really. And the fact that they are just below the top half of the table, I think if Iraola if he'd had a bit longer to institute his methods, and if they'd clicked a little bit earlier, Bournemouth would be well up competing for Europe this season. They've been really, really good, and they have some top quality players. Semenyo didn't play against Manchester United. He had a calf injury, but I believe the key reason he was out was actually not a calf injury, but a cold he'd picked up. So he's probably over that, and potentially over the calf injury that he's got. I think Semenyo was the player who caused us the most problems when we played them in that 2-2 draw in December. I think Semenyo again will be the player that I look at the most and think, ooh, what's he got for us? They've got Sinistera, they've got Ouattara. I think Tavernier is injured, I believe, another key player for them. Justin Kluivert's been playing very well for them as well. And then Dominic Solanke, what a season he's having. And I said it on Twitter this week. I look at Arsenal against Villa last week. I look at them against Bayern Munich and think there's just not someone up top for them. Is Solanke the player? If they can't get Alexander Isak, who's going to cost you know, the GDP of, a lot of countries, well then uh Dominic Solanke, I think, is it would be a good option for them. I think I'd love him at Villa, but we've got Ollie Watkins, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I think that Solanke and Semenyo, Justin Kluivert, what they all do and what Bournemouth do so well is they press so hard. And this is going to be difficult for Villa. We've got a great result against Arsenal. Tough game at Lille. I know we lost it, but we got through and we won. Um, we've just beaten Lille at home as well. But it's going to be a really difficult game because let's say something repeats itself like Brentford when we dominated the ball, but Brentford eventually clicked. They went for it, went a bit more gung ho. And in that spell where they turned it around from 2-0 to 3-2, that was the spell where Villa went from composed and in control to looking too casual and not reacting within the game to the opposition team turning it on. That's where you need your senior pros to just scream and shout. Sometimes that's what you need on the pitch to everybody to wake up and focus, get hold of the ball, and sometimes just a bit of hustle and bustle, muscle them out of it. And I think that McGinn been deeper this weekend because Douglas Luiz is suspended. If it's McGinn and Tielemans again, I think the two of them worked really, really well against Arsenal. Let's hope they can do the same against Bournemouth as well because the two of them were brilliant against Arsenal. And I think McGinn might just be that, muscular energy in the middle that we kind of need against a Bournemouth team that is going to really press us. But that said, you know, whilst Bournemouth will aim to press hard, um, Villa will likely be the ball dominant side as we were uh, in December. Bournemouth aren't really a ball dominant team; they're more of a press, 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 work you into a mistake, capitalize on it. Um, I think that Villa showed against Arsenal that we can withstand sustained pressure, and that if Pau Torres is fit, he's going to be a key player for us. Again, just finding those passes out from the back, bypassing the midfield, or maybe a quick one into Tielemans, or bypassing them into whoever the second striker is, whether it's Morgan Rogers, Moussa Diaby, Leon Bailey, who knows, Yonderan himself, who knows. Yes, I think it's going to be crucial that Pau Torres finds those passes, that Tielemans can come deep and can shake off the pressure and find those quick wave passes, and that John McGinn can be that bit of hustle and bustle, that muscle in the middle, and then he himself as well with that left-footed ball over the top into whoever is, or find a pass with his, curved left-footed ball. Who do but I think we do have to accept that, Bournemouth is not going to be a fun day out, with their hard press from Villa have just had exerted so much energy going into extra time and penalties away in Europe. So I'm a little bit nervy about this game. I think this is one of them where you could really get caught cold. And we've seen it in the past with teams that play on Thursday nights, have great results, and then on the weekend go ahead and lose unexpectedly. And I think Bournemouth are definitely the team that can punish us. And I think Semenyo, particularly, is the type of player who could really revel against a side that's a little bit lower energy than they might normally be. Who's going to be at right back? Will it be Cash or Konsa? I think against Bournemouth last time, Konsa started at right back. He didn't do all that well with Semenyo out that side, I remember. And what he was doing a lot was that he was coming inside towards the centre. Now, I think maybe that's potentially because he hadn't really played at right back that often at that point. So what he was tending to do is drift inside towards his natural position in the centre, and Villa got caught cold by that a couple of times, particularly with Semenya finding space. So if he is to play outright, I think he's gonna have to stick outright, and I do wonder whether Cash might get the call, just because he can match the pace of Semenyo, if he's getting in behind, and then also offer something a little bit more going forward as well. But Carlos, I think, will probably come back in. Didn't play Thursday night. No minutes on his legs. So I think he's almost certainly going to come back in. Now, Consa maybe gets a break. I don't know. I'd predict it'll be Consa at right back, Carlos in the middle, Pau Torres, and then at left back, it's going to have to be Luca Dean again because Alex Moreno got the injury, which is bloody annoying, isn't it? Because you just need these players to get a little bit of a break. So it's going to be hard work for Luca Dean as well. And then, maybe Semenyo will play out on that side. He can play either side, Semenyo. Top quality player. He's going to play for a club that competes in Europe regularly at some point. He just is. He's quality. Aside from that, McGinn Tielemans, probably. And then Morgan Rogers, I think, will come in. And Leon Bailey, we don't know the status of his injury. So will it be, you know, I'd love it to be Bailey and Diaby with Ollie Watkins up top, but just not sure. Not sure whether it might be Diaby starts out right. And then as a second striker, who knows? Maybe Yonderan. Maybe Yonderan. You know, Zaniolo's got that injury as well. We don't know how he is after last night. Hopefully, it's just a heavy landing rather than a sustained injury. And if he can play, he might just come in on the left and Rodgers goes into that second striker role that he played against Arsenal. Bournemouth, like I say, top, well coached team. Absolutely making the most of the resources that they have, the players that they have. Iraola is going to go far in this game. If what he's done at Bournemouth is any reflection of what he can do anywhere else in football, he's going to go far. Top coach side, they're going to be hot, sort of Gegen pressing, constant pressing. We're going to probably be ball dominant, but it's all just about Villa when they have that dominance work and those opportunities. And it's just about Unai Emery managing the minutes of these players, which, you know, we're very fortunate. We've got a manager who's been there, done it, won 4 Europa Leagues, Champions League semi-final, and now a Conference League semi-final as well. So, look, let's get behind the lads. They're going to need the energy of the crowd this Sunday. They're going to need us cheering them on. We're going to need to be loud and proud, and we're going to need to say, up the mighty Villa.